Karoline Leavitt appeared on The Round Table, a widely watched talk show known for its progressive stance, hosted by the formidable Monica Reynolds. With decades of experience in media, Monica had built a reputation for controlling debates, often overpowering conservative guests with sharp remarks and quick dismissals. From the moment Karoline took her seat, the atmosphere was tense yet predictable. Another conservative guest facing an uphill battle. The discussion began with routine questions about Karoline's career, her political views, and her stance on modern social issues. Monica, confident in her position, subtly steered the conversation toward wokeness, setting a rhetorical trap. Then, with a smirk, she delivered a condescending remark, "If it weren't for progressive policies, you wouldn't even be sitting here today." The audience chuckled. The co-host nodded in agreement, expecting Karoline to stumble. But she didn't. Instead of reacting emotionally or defensively, Karoline paused, meeting Monica's gaze with unwavering confidence. A knowing smile crossed her lips as she prepared to respond, not with outrage, but with logic. The shift was almost imperceptible, but for the first time, Monica was no longer fully in control. What happened next would leave the entire studio speechless. The moment Monica Reynolds delivered her remark, the audience reacted as expected. Laughter rippled through the studio. They had seen this before. The Round Table had hosted countless conservative guests, most of whom crumbled under the pressure, either becoming flustered or reacting emotionally. Monica thrived on these moments, using them to reinforce her dominance over the conversation. But something felt different this time. Karoline Leavitt did not flinch. She didn't look away, stammer, or rush into a defensive rant. Instead, she held Monica's gaze, her expression unreadable. Then, she let the silence stretch just long enough to unsettle the room. Then, with a calm but unwavering voice, she spoke. "I respect the progress made by past generations, but progress isn't about giving people opportunities based on ideology. It's about allowing everyone to rise based on merit. I didn't get here because of wokeness. I got here because I worked for it." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some nodded. Others exchanged glances. Monica's confidence flickered for just a second, a barely noticeable shift in her posture, but enough for those paying attention to see it. This was not the response she had expected. Lisa Thompson, one of the show's most vocal co-hosts and Monica's reliable backup, jumped in. "Come on, Karoline," she said, forcing a polite laugh. "Let's be real, you're only 27. Do you really think you've had to face the same barriers as women before you? You talk about merit, but don't you think social progress played a role in getting you here?" It was a classic roundtable tactic, shifting the argument from logic to emotion, pressuring the guest into either conceding or appearing dismissive of historical struggles. A few audience members clapped. Monica, regaining her composure, leaned back, waiting for Karoline to falter. But she didn't. Karoline turned toward Lisa, her expression unshaken. "I absolutely acknowledge the struggles of past generations, but let me ask you this. If we truly believe in equality, why do we keep reducing people's achievements to identity politics? Shouldn't we be celebrating hard work rather than assuming success is owed to an ideological movement?" Lisa opened her mouth, then hesitated. It was a rare moment on the round table. The guest had flipped the script. The audience, which had initially been so quick to laugh along with Monica's remarks, was no longer responding on cue. Some shifted in their seats. A few even nodded in agreement. Monica realized she was losing control. She straightened in her chair, narrowing her eyes. "So, you're saying privilege hasn't played a role in your success at all?" she asked, her tone sharper now. Karoline smiled slightly. "I'm saying privilege isn't what defines success. Hard work does. And if we keep insisting that every accomplishment is a product of social policies rather than effort, aren't we devaluing the very thing we claim to be fighting for?" For the first time, Monica had no immediate comeback. The tension in the room thickened. The usual rhythm of the round table, The fast-paced, overwhelming pressure designed to push conservative guests into submission was gone. Karoline had turned the debate into something Monica and her co-hosts were unprepared for. An actual conversation, and for the first time in a long time, the audience wasn't just reacting, they were listening. The moment the debate ended, the usual energy of the round table was gone. Monica Reynolds, who typically left the stage triumphant, seemed unsettled. The audience, instead of cheering in unison, sat in awkward silence. Something had shifted. Within minutes, social media exploded. Clips of the debate went viral, with Monica lost and Karoline wins trending across platforms. Conservative commentators called it a turning point, while even neutral voices admitted Monica had been caught off guard. Meanwhile, mainstream media outlets tried to downplay the moment, offering vague summaries rather than airing the full exchange. Behind the scenes, executives at the network were in crisis mode. Sponsors were nervous. Viewers who once watched the roundtable without question were now reconsidering. "We can't afford another moment like this," one producer muttered in a closed-door meeting. Monica, determined to reclaim control, went on another show, dismissing the debate as misrepresentation. But her words felt forced. The audience had witnessed something undeniable, a crack in the media's carefully controlled narrative. This debate wasn't just a political clash, it was a wake-up call. It exposed how the media often silences opposing views and raised the question, are people finally starting to push back? What do you think? Did Karoline Leavitt expose a flaw in media bias, or was Monica Reynolds still in control? Leave a comment below. And if you found this eye-opening, like, share, and subscribe to keep this conversation going. If you found this video interesting, drop a 1 in the comment section to let me know. Your support means a lot to me. Now relax and move on to the next story. Emily Foster adjusted her press badge as she stepped into the grand lobby of the San Francisco Tech Summit, her fingers gripping the edges of her tablet like a weapon. Months of investigation had led to this moment. She had spent countless late nights analyzing leaked internal documents, convinced that Tesla was overstating the safety of its full self-driving technology. If her calculations were correct, Musk's claims were built on selective data, an illusion of progress rather than reality. Her assistant Jake handed her a coffee. "Musk just arrived through the back entrance. Security's tight," he whispered. Emily smirked. Let them try to stop the truth. The summit buzzed with energy as investors, engineers, and journalists filled the hall, eager to hear Musk's keynote. She had planned her ambush carefully. She wouldn't strike during his speech, but during the live question and answer, where the audience and millions watching online would witness his response in real time. Checking her notes one last time, she spotted Dr. Bennett, her former statistics professor, chatting with a Tesla executive. A flicker of doubt crossed her mind, but she pushed it aside. Today she wasn't a student. She was the one holding the evidence. Emily Foster's pulse pounded as she sat in the packed auditorium of the San Francisco Tech Summit. Elon Musk had just finished his keynote, detailing Tesla's full self-driving advancements. His claim was bold. Full self-driving equipped Teslas were 5 times less likely to be involved in accidents than human-driven cars. The audience responded with murmurs of approval. Emily clenched her tablet. She knew those numbers were misleading. Months of investigating Tesla's safety data had revealed inconsistencies. Today, she would expose them. As the moderator opened the floor for questions, Emily shot up her hand. Musk gestured toward her, and a microphone was passed down. She stood, keeping her voice measured. "Mr. Musk, your latest report claims that Tesla's full self-driving is 5 times safer than human drivers. But isn't that an oversimplification?" Musk tilted his head slightly. "How so?" Emily tapped her tablet, casting her analysis onto the giant screen. "Your data is pulled mostly from optimal driving conditions, clear highways, smooth traffic flow. But what happens when we factor in urban congestion, bad weather, and construction zones? Your safety margin shrinks considerably." A murmur rippled through the crowd. She caught a glimpse of Tesla's PR chief, Zara Ellis, typing rapidly on her phone. Emily suppressed a smirk. She had him. But then Musk did something she didn't expect. Instead of deflecting, he walked to the whiteboard, picked up a marker, and smiled. "That's an interesting question. Let's go through the math." Emily stiffened. This wasn't how these confrontations usually played out. Musk started writing equations. "You're right that driving conditions affect accident rates. But let's look at our complete data set." New graphs appeared on the screen. Emily's stomach twisted. These figures didn't match the ones she had. "These logs include city driving, adverse weather, and high-risk areas," Musk continued. "When fully accounted for, the 5-time safety margin still holds." Emily's fingers flew over her tablet. Something wasn't right. Had she been working with incomplete data? A voice cut through the silence. "Mr. Musk, how do you account for reporting bias?" Emily turned sharply. Dr. Bennett, her former statistics professor, leaned forward in his seat. Musk nodded. "Excellent question. Human drivers underreport minor incidents, but Tesla logs every autopilot disengagement. If we normalize the data like this..." He added another equation. The numbers adjusted. Emily checked the figures on her screen. Her throat went dry. He was right. The realization hit like a punch. She had built her case on outdated, incomplete data. She had come here to expose a fraud, but the math was sound. Worse, she had overlooked key statistical factors. Musk capped the marker and turned toward her. "Ms. Foster, your scrutiny is exactly what we need, but tell me, why were you so certain our data was manipulated?" Emily swallowed hard. "I had a source inside Tesla." Musk nodded. "Let me guess. An early version of our safety analysis? One we discarded months ago because it wasn't rigorous enough?" Emily's breath caught. How did he know? Dr. Bennett sighed. "Emily, I tried to tell you. Statistics aren't always black and white." The weight of her mistake settled over her. She hadn't uncovered deception. She had misjudged the evidence. Musk's voice was surprisingly gentle. "Would you like full access to our data? No restrictions. Join our independent safety advisory board. Challenge our assumptions." Emily hesitated. The crowd waited. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Yes." Emily sat across from Elon Musk in a private dining room, her mind still reeling. She had come to the summit determined to expose Tesla's misleading safety claims. Instead, she had discovered that her own analysis had been based on incomplete data. The confrontation she had planned had turned into an unexpected lesson in statistical integrity. Tesla's PR chief, Zara Ellis, broke the silence. "So, shall we discuss the details of your role on the advisory board?" Emily hesitated. "I don't get it. I spent months trying to take you down." Musk leaned back, a knowing smile on his face. "That's exactly why I want you on board. We need people who challenge us. Safety isn't about PR. It's about lives." For the first time, Emily saw things differently. If she truly cared about accountability, the best place to make an impact wasn't from the outside, it was from within. As they finalized the details, Musk asked, "Why was this investigation so important to you?" Emily sighed. "My father was a safety engineer. He always told me that behind every statistic is a family waiting for someone to come home." Musk nodded. "Then we're working toward the same goal." "What do you think? Should companies invite their biggest critics to help improve their work? Let's discuss in the comments. If you found this video interesting, drop a 1 in the comment section to let me know. Your support means a lot to me. Now relax and move on to the next story. The stage is set for one of the most anticipated interviews in modern political history. President Donald Trump, fresh off his re-election victory, takes his seat across from Jonathan Reeves, a hard-hitting journalist known for his relentless questioning. The lights blaze, the cameras roll, and millions across the nation lean in, waiting for the clash to unfold. Reeves, a master of media warfare, has built his career dismantling political figures, exposing weaknesses, and shaping narratives. Tonight, he has one goal: to challenge Trump like never before. Armed with meticulously crafted questions, he aims to corner the president on his policies, his leadership, and his legacy. But as Trump adjusts his tie, his expression remains unreadable. There's no nervousness, no hesitation, only the unwavering confidence of a man who has been here before. The audience expects a battle, but what they don't realize is that Trump isn't stepping into an interview. He's stepping onto a stage he knows how to command. The tension in the studio is palpable. Millions are watching as Jonathan Reeves, a veteran journalist known for his sharp interrogations, squares off against President Donald Trump, now in his second term. Reeves has spent years dismantling political figures, exposing their weaknesses, and controlling interviews. But tonight, he faces a man who thrives under pressure. Reeves leans forward, his tone measured but firm. "Mr. President, your second term has been called one of the most controversial in history. Many say your leadership is divisive. Others argue your policies favor the elite over the working class. How do you respond to those criticisms?" A classic opening move, a question meant to put Trump on the defensive. But Trump doesn't flinch. Instead, he leans back slightly, exuding confidence. "Jonathan, those same critics said I wouldn't win in 2016. Then they said I wouldn't win in 2024, and yet here I am." He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle. "The American people don't listen to the media's noise. They look at results, and what were the results? The lowest unemployment before the pandemic, energy independence, the strongest economy in decades. So, you tell me, does that sound like division or an America that's winning?" Murmurs ripple through the audience. Reeves tightens his grip on his notes. Trump has turned the question into a victory speech. "Let's talk about the economy," Reeves presses. "You claim your policies help working Americans, but some experts argue your tax cuts benefited the wealthy. Can you honestly say your administration works for everyone?" Trump's expression remains firm. "Jonathan, let's be real. Those experts you're quoting? They predicted disaster when I was first elected. They were wrong. Before COVID, we had historic job growth, wages were rising, manufacturing was coming back, more people were lifted out of poverty than ever before. So, if that's what helping the wealthy looks like, I think every American wants a piece of it." A few chuckles emerge from the audience. Reeves exhales. Trump isn't dodging, he's controlling the conversation. Reeves pivots, sharpening his approach. "Mr. President, leadership isn't just about numbers. You're known for your blunt, sometimes controversial rhetoric. Do you think your words have helped or hurt America?" A trip. If Trump admits to being divisive, he looks reckless. If he denies it, he seems out of touch. But Trump smirks. "Jonathan, what weakens America is weak leadership. Leaders who apologize for being strong. Leaders who let the media control them. I don't play by Washington's rules. I stand for the American people, and you know what? They respect that." The audience stirs. Some clap. Others exchange glances. Reeves realizes the shift. Trump is dictating the conversation, not him. Flipping through his notes, Reeves knows he has one last shot to take back control. "All right, Mr. President," he says, voice tightening. "Let's talk about your legacy." Trump straightens his tie, a knowing smile forming. "Jonathan, I love talking about my legacy. Let's get into it. The real battle is just beginning." The studio is silent, but the tension is razor sharp. Jonathan Reeves knows this is his last chance to regain control, his final opportunity to land a blow that could shift the narrative. He takes a slow breath, straightens his notes, and leans forward. His next question is not just a challenge. It is a trap. "Mr. President, history will judge your leadership. Some call you a fighter, others call you reckless. If you had to define your own legacy, what would you say?" A masterstroke, If Trump brags, he risks appearing arrogant. If he hesitates, it suggests uncertainty. The audience holds its breath. This is the moment. But Trump doesn't rush. He adjusts his tie, takes a measured breath, and looks directly at Reeves. His expression is unreadable, calm, yet commanding. When he speaks, his voice is steady, deliberate. Jonathan, my legacy isn't decided by journalists or critics sitting in comfortable studios. It's decided by the American people. They voted for me, twice, because they wanted strength, not weakness. They wanted results, not excuses. And when history looks back, they won't see a politician who played it safe. They'll see a leader who fought for his country, no matter the cost. A ripple of energy sweeps through the room. Some in the audience break into applause. Others exchange glances, absorbing the weight of his words. Reeves clenches his jaw. He wanted to put Trump in a corner, but instead,